And all right, no, I think we're good. So yeah, my guest today is Gavriel. Is that right?
Correct.
And you are the owner of Noah's Apiary. Is that how we pronounce it?
Apiary. Yeah, apiary.
Apiary.
Um, Correct. It's a term used when you have three or more hives on your property. Instead of saying bee farm, the term is apiary.
Okay. And does it, three or more? If it gets to like a higher number, does there another name it becomes, or
No,
uh
apiary is still the term.
uh
I mean, you can give yourself a title and call yourself like commando or general, but
huh?
at that level, you're still running an apiary.
So I was gonna make double check. It's bees and not beads, right? Bees.
Say that one more time.
It's bees and not beads, right?
Correct. Bees.
Okay, yeah, not beads. Um, I was gonna say, what inspired you to go to this like route as a beekeeper, like, or I don't know if that's like what you call yourself, a beekeeper. I'm sure you're a man of many trades because I know you were telling me you kind of have like this little round of animals you go around to, almost like a little self-sustainable farm, I imagine. So like what inspired you to go to this bee route with like honey and stuff like that? Was it something you learned from family, from friends, from just watching on YouTube, you know?
I'm suiting up just for my own safety, so please, I'm listening as you're going because I can hear the bees getting aggressive at the moment.
Yeah, no worries.
But on my own, yeah. So what kind of motivated me was that being a veteran, I want to give a big shout out to God. Thanks for bringing me back alive from Iraq. I did 4 years in the Navy. I left um, just after 9/11 in January, and I went to
Mm,
the Navy and I went straight to Iraq as a gunner's mate. So, being a veteran here in America, they offer different schooling and opportunities when you come back to kind of shift gears and do something different. So, before getting into beekeeping, I also did another 2.5 years in the Army. I did infantry airborne, and then I finished in 89 Delta, which is bomb squad. And I really learned a lot about commanding large units at that time. Working in the Navy was a smaller unit. We're very close knit. My gunners, we were like brothers, and we still talk to this day. We're very very close. In the Army, you deal with a lot more people, so those interpersonal connections don't really come as quickly, but you learn to command from a distance a lot more than you would at an interpersonal level. Um, so with the bees, they really are their own universe. The queen, she really commands and tells them what to do. We more or less tend to keep her in an optimal state.
mhm.
So there's one queen, and she lives about 5 years, and everybody else is more or less within the 45 days in the summertime to 6 months throughout the winter to keep her warm and make sure that she's happy no matter what she's doing. Tending to her eggs and whatnot. And that
Uh-huh.
kind of world coming together was really something I experienced in the Army a lot, of dealing with someone's personality from their perspective and how you let them grow and how you can tweak and maintain along the way. And bees are malleable in that fashion, especially with how our evolution of beehives has come along. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I never thought about the parallels between kind of running, an army and then having bees. They don't sound similar at all, but I guess those skills migrate pretty easily to beekeeping.
100%, 100%. Attention to detail, um, having the internal fortitude to be that present with an insect that can, if you're not suited up right or something, or you make them angry, this can be your last bee trip. There are people who are allergic for one. There's a lethal dose of bee stings you can take. So there are safety precautions that you have to take, and you have to take them serious. When you're comfortable with bees at a certain level, you'll see the elders and the people who mentor, they'll just show up with a little face veil, and it's really nothing to them, and they're kind of in and out, and they figured out the niche of it.
Hmm. And well, and I mean to like ignore this, but thank you for your service. As far as you
Please, I was
know,
very humbled to have the opportunity to serve, but thank you.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I was gonna ask, so as far as like the workers and the defenders, is it? And I've read a little bit about bees. I've seen like some of those beekeeper videos that go viral. Is it like the females that are the defenders and the males that are the workers, or why do you think like evolution kind of went that route with the bees? If you had an opinion.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And that kind of, once again, trickles down from the queen. Um, because what she wants is what she will birth. If she wants men, because she needs to mate at that time of season to create more babies, the babies that she has at that time, she'll want them to be what's called drones. And these males are only for they don't have a stinger, so they have a mating flight, and then that's kind of their life. Where the queen, she needs like multiple boyfriends to kind of make her numbers uh, meet what they're supposed to.
Hmm.
The fighters, the workers, the collectors, the cleaners, the builders, her tenders, all those are all women. Those are all her worker bees, and they have stingers. They're not like a wasp, where a wasp can sting you multiple times. A bee, they sting you. That's kind of their end.
Hmm.
And they're willing to sacrifice and do that kind of kamikaze trip. Because that's inbred inside of them.
Hmm. No, yeah, it's interesting that I don't know, to me that the evolution went that route there, and that all goes with that's kind of the whole definition of a hive mentality. They're all kind of in sync, right, with each other as far as
Correct.
bees go.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. No,
Coming
that
into winter as well, they understand what it is to sacrifice, not just in protecting the queen, but what sacrifice means. Like, let's say, for instance, like, if you can see in the background, there's two big boxes on the bottom, and those are the brood boxes where she lays her eggs. And on top of that, there's smaller ones. They're called supers, so brood and super. Now, as the season progresses and more bees are born, you don't just need the super to put the honey in. You need the super because you have thousands of bees that are being born. So you
mm,
have to keep up with the volume that she's outputting in her birthing series. Um, and then when you come to harvest, you're going to take these boxes and break them down, and you're going to, you have to ask yourself, what am I going to do with all these bees? Um, Now, the hive, you can take care of it, and you can make what's called a split. And you take, the brood chambers, and you split them, and you put more empty boxes on top based on the amount of bees you have, so you can keep up with that. Or some people just flat out rob the hive. They'll take the boxes on top and put the top on the bottom, and they hope they all crunch inside there. And the queen looks around, and she's like, "We got way too many people, and we don't have enough food." So
mm,
like 30% need to die and get out, and that's the end of it. There is no vote.
mhm, mhm,
When it comes to what she needs to make her place perfect. But if all of the bees see that she's not living up to par, or she's towards the end, they will all congregate together and pull another egg and put it into a vertical cell that they make, which is specific for queens, so they get bigger, instead of the horizontal, which is standard for workers and drones.
mhm.
And therefore, when this queen comes out, it's like Highlander, there can only be one. So everyone steps back, and this is like the gladiators that we all lived for. Like the queen's got to fight it out, and only one of them can stand, and then she stands up, and everybody serves me from here on out.
Wow. No, that, and I could see that like when you think of it as queens and kingdoms and all that, but just to think of it in the insect world, it's
It's
mind
such a
blowing.
universe that, we have so many electronics, we have so many influences and political things going on, depending on what country you're in, different warfare. There's all kinds of things that go on to, for someone to, it really is a blessing to sit down and have time in life without things going on to kind of learn these extra activities to help people in the overall. Because even though I tend the bees here and I make sure they have what they need to, they fly within a 3 mile radius. And any farmer around here that has corn, apples, fruit, vegetables, they're out there pollinating and they're making sure that their fruit and vegetable reaches its max potential.
Mhm.
I think it was something around like 33 or 38% of the stuff you see in your grocery store comes specifically from bees pollinating.
Jeez, no, and that's insane because the way things are getting now, where it's more not as natural. It's more what's the word, like mechanically done, or
Correct, correct. Yeah,
inorganically, I'll say.
yeah.
So it's, I don't know, it's scary to think that, like, that sounds like a big number, but it's probably, it should be like 100%, and with vegetables and fruits and all that. And I feel like it could only get lower, which is scary because
Yeah,
the
we deal with
world.
a lot
Yeah.
of issues on our own in that world, so to say. Like within the past 20 years or so, we've dealt with a thing called varroa mites. And these things, since bees are exoskeletal and they're, a bug, um, they open up to kind of breathe. And these tinier varroa mites would climb under there and they would eat off of them, and they climb in the eggs and eat with the eggs, and it's a whole infestation of a problem. Some people think it's a foreign country warfare. Some people think it's like evolution of times. Whatever it
Oh
may be,
wow.
is that a large bee population has definitely decimated and beekeepers in America based on the frustration of fighting these varroa mites over the past couple of years. We're starting to angle in a lot better on the chemicals and oxalic acids and whatnot that work at that time of season, but it's not a one shot and go. It's like twice a season, before the honey and then after the honey. And then you got to check, very specifics, looking for all sorts of stuff. Tending the universe, you're kind of being that higher power to them. Um,
Yeah, I don't think they have I mean, they might, but I don't think they have veterinarians that you could take your queen to, and they'll, prescribe them like,
no, 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 not like that.
yeah,
You
like
can,
an antidote or something.
yeah, there's feeders like juice feeders that have like a drip feed on a mason jar you would place upside down, and you can put like different bee nutrients that would help the hive to thrive. Um, but if the queen's like weak or she's on her way out, there's nothing stopping you from actually rearing another queen. And that's part of the understanding of bees, is that you can fluctuate. And if you see them trying to do one, you can pull that whole cell and pull that queen out there and put it on another cell. And you can raise a whole farm of just, raising queens in the event that either one of yours goes or there's multiple beekeepers and they have queen issues. It's either sick or American foul brew, Eastern foul brew. Maybe they have a swarm and they didn't give their bees enough space, and so the bees are like, "We're out of here." So they grab the queen, and you see the whole thing just up and take off, and they go live in a tree somewhere, and that's the end of it. You know,
And it,
um,
and if you weren't there, let's say, and the queen did like die, pass away, get killed, what do these bees do? They just go on their own, like they're lost, or do they go find a new queen, or
correct.
like
There
in
is
that event?
some people believe in letting them do their own thing, and like, oh, they understand there's the queen has died, so they'll pull an egg and put it into a horizontal cell. I mean, into a vertical cell they need to build. You'll see them the frames in these boxes. There's 10 of them, and they're in a rectangular fashion. And so your honey would be here, and then on the very bottom of it it would just be like a cone coming down, or if it was on the side, it'd be coming out and straight down. And that's what a queen cell looks like. So, in the event that she's on her way out, they either would rear one, or they would kind of go into doing their own thing. And some of the workers would lay eggs, but the workers can't really decide to lay more women workers. And they would only lay drones in that event. And then the whole hive would drone out. And then they'd really be bored not knowing what to do or how to tend a queen. So
Hmm.
then you're really forced into a position of maybe splitting from another hive and putting a frame that has eggs in there, or even just contacting your local bee organization to get another queen, because I mean they're only about 40, $50, and you have to kind of take the hives, so to say, like Republican Democrat side. Like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with the hive on this one because we need another queen. I understand you're the queen. I understand you're great. You've been the Speaker of House for a long time, but we need another queen. So it's $50 and you're out. I'm sorry. You
It's
need to take care of 60,000 bees a lot more than I need to take care of one queen.
and you can just buy these queens. There's like, is there like a black market, or are they
No,
they're,
no,
they're just a
nothing black market
okay.
at all. The further south you go in America is more common of where you can find it, because you're closer to the equator.
Hmm.
You have more time to rear and have them be birthed in their natural environment, instead of kind of worrying, like where I'm at. You got about 5, maybe 6 months, like 4.5 to 6 months now, depending of winter and snow. So I have to ensure that I only take minimal honey and leave at least 80 to 100 pounds for them to eat and make it through the winter,
Hmm.
because they don't just hibernate. They lock arms, they round around the queen, and they vibrate and they flap their wings and they expel all that energy to keep. You can put a heat gun on it and you can see it'll be 70, 80 degrees in the center of that while it's minus 12 outside.
Hmm. Oh yeah, and you're in New York, so
Yes, sir.
it gets a little cooler because yeah, you're up there. I don't know why I keep. Well, I'm from Texas. Like I was telling you, all we got here is hot girls and barbecue brisket. So,
uh,
but yeah, I can't imagine how global warming. I mean, whether you believe in it or not, it is a lot hotter and getting hotter. So I don't know how the bees would like evolve from that, or still deal with with winters because you're up north more.
yeah, so the bees, there's not just like honeybee. There's different types of honeybee. There's Russian, there's Italian, there's African, there's Corinthian, Cornolian. Sorry, I messed the word up a lot. But there's different types of bees in themselves that are workable in the cold weather, and that just won't make it, period. Like down in Texas, you might have more swarms of African bees, or Italian bees or something like this, because they do well in the heat, and through winter you only have 40, I mean 45, maybe 50 degrees depending on where you're at, whereas here it's a solid 3, 4 months of negative zero. Not negative zero,
Yeah.
negative below zero.
Hmm. And the different types of bees you were mentioning, when they do produce honey, well, all those I imagine they produce honey. Do they all like taste differently? Can you like? I don't know if you'd be
That's
able
a
to
that's a
like.
good question. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
No, the based on the bee itself, based on the honeybee. I'm not talking bumblebees and wasps. I'm talking honeybees. Based on the honeybee itself, their uh, type would not make a specific taste. Your environment is what would induce that. If you
Hmm.
allow them to have flowers. Um, I live here personally on 60 acres by myself, and I homestead very intensely every day. So I have large acres of the property that I'll cut once, and then I know the wildflowers by this time will be insane, like the goldenrod and the late blooming flowers. So there's certain parts that the grass is 5, 6 feet tall, based on it being such a free, um, free. It's free Honestly, like let the grass grow. The wise man looks out and sees money. The lazy man looks out and says, "Oh, I need to cut the grass," and it's in the way. And it's such a problem. Like if you see with the eyes in your head, and you can be like, "Man, I see gold, and I want to see money in my hand." Okay, I'll spend $500. I'll make these little hives and boxes and whatever. Right around that. For one hive, and take the 2 or 3 weeks to learn about it. And that not only the honey that you sell will make your money back, but let's say you do so good that your bees by next season need to be split. Now you got two hives, and they're rocking and kicking, and you made your 500 back, and now you're the honey man of your community, and then the season's over, and you're stuck with two. And they'll come next season, they're rocking and kicking, and you got to split them. Now you got two is four. Next season, four is eight. Next season, eight is 16. And all you
Hmm.
did was spend 500 on one, and you saw with the eyes in your head that there's money out there growing for free that you can't put a fence around. You know, they go
Hmm.
for 3 miles everywhere, and it's not like cattle where they're just destroying your grass and eating everything. They're coming there and they're taking the pollen and they're propagating and making your stuff go good.
Oh
And
yeah.
you know, you want those big apples, they're gonna come and hit those trees and they're gonna give you those luscious, juicy apples and pears. And you'll see it night and day. I have apple trees, excuse me, that are crab apples, and for 3 years that I was here, tiny little greens. The year I got apple bees, within by the end of the season, they were bigger than my fist, and they were shiny red monsters. And it dawned on me that I was like, "You got to be kidding me, dude! There's so much food here that I knew nothing about." And that turned into a vineyard that I found in another part of the forest as I was cleaning, that I trellised in a manner, and the bees went there and did that, and then that turned into finding high-rise blueberry bushes that I cleaned up around and trellised those in a fashion. And then since I made it so clean, the bees came and turned that into food. And one thing after another, you make them work for you, and then they give you such good food, and it's such a good trade in hand in hand. They're making honey, you're getting better food, and then you get honey at the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's it's just a nice symbiotic relationship where you let them do their thing, you tend to them whenever they do need that little bit of help, but it really is worth it. Like they do a lot for the earth in general, where people advocate, right? Like I know there is where they advocate to save bees. Like
Yeah,
no, like
all day, man. Yeah, you really, honestly, you really would not know how hard of a push and a bite you would feel in your stomach and in your wallet at the grocery stores if the bees were not around.
hmm
It would
no, it's
definitely hurt, and you would more likely go into some kind of like meat diet or bug diet,
uh
or I don't know.
or
I
just
don't want to, I didn't want to think
uns
about it, to tell you the truth. It's
yeah, you would have like this unnatural produce that wouldn't probably taste sweet, taste good, have nutrients. It would just be like almost like fake meat, fake
correct.
vegetables,
Yeah, pretty close, pretty close. In
Yeah.
Asian countries, they have jobs where people go out there with like Q-tips to pollinate the flowers, and they climb up on ladders and they go flower for flower around the trees doing that, because the pollution in the air has destroyed the ability to have bees, because you have so many cars, you have so much going on that you're thinking about money and just going and going and going.
Mhm.
Dr. Seuss
Yeah.
did a book on it. I think it was the Lorax or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how you think, like, you you don't notice when they're doing it, but you would notice if they were gone, like, definitely with bees.
100%.
I was gonna ask, I know you had just touched on it, how, like, the honey is more determined by the environment rather than what type of bee. I remember seeing, like, a Joe Rogan where they had, like, a psychedelic honey. Have you ever, like, I would say, like,
Correct. Yeah,
dabbled
that
in that
comes
or
from a
heard of
flower
that?
that's indigenous to that rainforest.
Mhm,
Um, it's really nothing out of anybody's world if they wanted to do something of that nature and just grow
mhm,
that flower. Like I have on both sides of my hive, I have sunflowers and wildflowers, if that's something you wanted to do, then you grow the flowers and you get the bees. I'm not telling people what to do, but A plus B equals C.
Yeah, it's for you. I'm sure it's just cut and dry. Like, oh no, you just do it this way. That's it.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to climb a mountainside, somewhere miles from civilization to just climb and obtain that honey. You could do it if you wanted to.
I mean, we're on
Uh,
such a high level of information and the tests that scientists have done to use bees for everything that there's a plethora of uh, realms that have been understood already to what bees are capable of doing. And they're even using them today for bomb squad to detect without having to use dogs, cats, monkeys, or whatever kind of animal. They've
yeah,
used bees and trained them to sniff out bombs. This you can look this stuff up on YouTube. It's well within your reach on Google.
yeah, it's insane. No,
So to have something as simple as the plants that you want to propagate to make the kind of honey you want, that's it seems very elementary for the bees to be able to do that.
hmm I always I don't know if you know the author Roald Dahl. He wrote like James and the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But I remember there's a story that's always stuck with me that he wrote, like a short story, and it talks about how like a mother. And I don't mean to take too long telling this story. Long story short, but it's about a mother who has a baby uh prematurely, and the husband is a beekeeper, so he secretly gives the baby royal jelly to help it become stronger. And eventually he says, "Oh, she's strong enough now. She'll be our queen." And the baby grows wings. And I always think about that when I think about beekeepers. Do you like that? Is that's how it works? Like with the royal jelly, and is that like a thing, right? Giving it to the queen or the baby to birth the queen?
The eggs are born in a suspended royal jelly in a horizontal fashion. As you've seen the cells, they'll be like this on the wall, and then the jelly's inside of it, and the egg is put in the jelly in a suspended fashion in that jelly based on the tininess of it, and how gravity kind of holds liquid in a shape. If it's tiny, it kind of bubbles in a certain fashion to stay inward instead of being too much liquid to drip out. So this royal jelly that the bees make is full of a lot of nutrients, and if you're into the minute things of the bees to separate that, that's a very attainable thing. But as far as a Spider-Man effect, that's not going to happen. You definitely would get a lot of nutrients that you would not know that you've been deprived of,
Mhm.
um, like the glue that they make to seal the hive from within is called propolis, and that's like pollen and tree sap, some of the bee saliva, and it makes a really good. If you make tinctures out of it, you can have toothpaste out of it, and it has a very high nutritional value of vitamins and minerals from what they collect. You know, if you're into the multivitamin state, uh, that's obviously been processed, but just being around them in general, it's been known to help cure a lot of different lung issues and breathing the fumes that come off of the beehive, and how
Mm.
fresh and wonderful smelling it is with a butterscotch tinge or whatever flower you're working with at that time. It's got this intense punch, and it almost grabs inside your lungs and opens them up. If you were to
Mhm.
breathe naturally through your nose, you kind of feel a bit of a restraint, with your environment, or maybe, heaven forbid, there's like mold in your house or something like that. You feel a bit of a restraint in your lungs. But when you're breathing on the beehives or breathing the beeswax, it's very interesting that it actually grabs inside your lungs to open them up to help you breathe more naturally. Some people have said, even by studies, that beekeepers live longer, and they don't know if it's attributed to being able to breathe more air and or if it's even according to the vibrations that the bees make, because they have their own frequency that they vibrate on, and when you're around them, you have to force yourself to be in such a super calm and chill that you know maybe later in life you're able to deal with such things that other people would not be able to deal with because of working, with something that takes that intensity of care.
Yeah, especially you being a veteran, I imagine it's a calming effect where it's like you're around a bunch of. I mean, it doesn't compare to being in war, but you're around a bunch of bees that at a moment's notice could turn on you. So it has to. You have to relax for the sake
100%.
of.
If there's veterans out there, if there's people with depression out there, whatever kind of things, even if you want to do something cool, I highly recommend beekeeping to anybody and everybody. Put one on your roof, put one in your backyard. If you're inner city, ask your landlord, put one on the roof. Do whatever you can. It's such a fun and interesting way to let yourself grow, outside of your own skin, and really care for something that is so important to the world. Like when you raise bees, you know even if you, like, people say, what can I do, what can I do, the rising temperatures, the oceans, the government, you can raise bees, you can change the world in that, because you're helping the world food to continue. And bees
Mhm.
only living so long, in that short span that they live in, have been able to overlap their life since the beginning of time, and they're still here.
No, it's crazy. No, again, like we've talked about how much they play a role in the world, where they're sort of like the backstage, like they're keeping a lot of things going without.
Terribly sorry
Well,
about that. Yeah,
no, no,
but
you're good. I was
yeah,
like, go
sometimes
what?
the clouds go left and right, and then all of a sudden the signal drops. I'm in the mountains at the moment, so it's kind of part
Oh
of what
man,
we see.
no, it's amazing how yeah, like we would know. You don't notice when they're there, but you will notice when they're gone, and that's like hopefully it doesn't go to that. Is it raining or hailing or what is that?
Oh yeah, the clouds, they come and go. I'm on a mountaintop, so things
Uh
pass. Like it'll rain for like
oh,
5 minutes, and it'll be here. Like it doesn't bother. I'm used to this stuff.
it. I'll try to go a little quicker then.
But
So
I mean,
you're.
honestly, like you can say there's a lot of great things bees have done besides the vegetables. I mean, bees bring honey, and honey brings mead, and mead, well, everybody loves alcohol.
You're not wrong there. As far as your business, Noah's and it's apiary.
Yeah, apiary. I'm gonna step under a tree for a second because
Yeah,
the crowd
no
calm.
worries.
But at least you can see a great background going on here. So this is one. Sorry, this is one of my hives here.
Mm-hmm.
And then further back this way, I have a longer stretch where I have more of my hives down at the end of the field, and my sheep, to keep the grass low around them so the grass doesn't overrun around the beehives. They don't like lawnmowers. They don't like loud machinery that can scare them. So
Mm-hmm.
having the sheep to work for you in the environment really helps to mitigate any kind of like damage you would do to them of shaking up the hive when it doesn't need to be shooken up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In your business, I see it on Instagram, Noah's apiary. Not only does it, you know, sell honey, but it sells like you have a lot of different just products like beeswax and
Oh
what
yeah,
else?
100%. So I do
Yeah.
everything myself. Um, I build all the beehives myself. I'm in the hives myself. I collect the honey, and no one else touches it. So with that being said, is I can be as specific as I want to be when it comes to collecting beeswax, and when it comes to being very clean and not throwing away stuff because you're caught in the motion. And that gives me a little bit more elbow room to make lotion and to make mead, to maybe even let some of the honey ferment, because in countries like Switzerland and farther northern Europe, fermented honey is a high delicacy, and it's
Mm,
actually more costly than regular honey.
dang. No, I mean, I love honey, but I'll just get like the regular stuff at the store that you don't know if it's you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
it says Texas honey, but who knows where it comes from, how it is. So yeah, as far as your store, people can just hit you up on Instagram at Noah's underscore apiary.
Yes, sir.
Or
100%. Yeah, I mail all day. That's part of the hours I set apart in my work schedule here. Is filling orders. I've had a couple orders out in California. I had a couple orders in Georgia and Florida. I've sent a bunch of stuff as far as Israel and Italy. I've done
wow.
Germany as well. Um, and I have a really close friend of mine, and he has a crowd that goes hiking in Mount Everest, I think it's called, like that biggest mountain. Forgive me for my ignorance. But while he's up there in the mountains, like he tells me, like your beeswax and your bee lotion, he's like, it's the only thing that works when the cold is tearing my lips and my face apart, and my hands are like cracking because it's so cold, and my body's like not hydrated properly. And it's a big blessing that what I use here to work for me, because I tear my hands apart on working the farm, has worked for him in such extreme environments as well. And he tells his buddies, and they take it with them when they do their mountain climbing and whatnot. And uh, I like this aspect of giving back to America in this fashion. Like there's the military and protecting, and I'm very humbled to be able to protect. And then there's this aspect of giving to America as well, and bringing life. You know,
No, it's great. And then it sounds like you said you have sheep there. I'm sure you might have other animals, so you're, more sustainable. I don't know. It's nice clean living. You're giving back what you're taking. Not that you what's the word? Like you're not in debt to the world to do that, you know what I mean? But you still do it.
yeah. I mean, it
So
kind of,
it's
yeah, like a couple things kind of dawned on me. I really got personally frustrated that whenever I got hungry, just based on being awake at midnight, that nothing was open, or whatever I had in the fridge, I had to talk myself into, and I knew it'd come with acid reflux. I knew it'd come with knee pain because I'd have inflammation, and I just got tired of talking myself into that stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to do it myself. The first year or two will suck very hard. And as long as I go in with that mentality, I won't be disappointed by the third year, because anything will be better than the first two of it being so hard. And slowly by slowly, since I have no one here to tell me, oh, that won't work, or let's try this, when I fail, then I fail. When I succeed, I get up from my own failures and fallings, and I make it work one way or another. And then when it works, it's on a regiment where it's just on maintenance, and it's such an internal accomplishment to see small goals to let you know that life isn't over after one phase, or after experiencing trauma, for instance, of any sort. There's many avenues that you can experience to help reshift the gears, that things can be better. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's beautiful. And like you said, like other people could, I'm sure, find an answer like that in other things, but for you to find it in the world of beekeeping where it helps the earth like exponentially, it's such a great thing, like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you can never have too much honey. There is no too much honey in the world, and a beautiful thing. It lasts forever too. So, you stock up on it or you're stuck with it, that's okay. You pass it on to the next generation, because everybody loves a sweet tooth.
I had that question too. I remember reading that like they found like Egyptian, was it Egyptian honey, and
Oh yeah.
it was still technically good, right? Like it
100% yeah, 100% edible. It
yeah.
crystallized just based on how it was stored.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but 100% edible. Honey is good for thousands and thousands of years. Obviously, if
That's
you pull it in the
insane.
right time,
Uh-huh.
if they're still building it and the comb has not been covered, then you risk that it wasn't cured properly, and it could have too much moisture in the honey, causing fermentation or mold of some sort. So, there is a certain
Mhm.
level of kind of knowing when to pull the honey.
That no, that's crazy, like, to think I can't think of anything else that is even able to, have a shelf life of thousands of years, you know? Like, even
Yeah,
stuff
I'm
like
pretty blown away myself. I've been thinking about passing it on to my kids,
uh-huh.
and trying to convince them in some way to pass it on without the jars being broken throughout history. Be like, all right, here's enough for 5 generations. Like each you get a gallon, your son gets a gallon, my grandson gets a gallon. Like try and save like 10 gallons to pass 1 gallon to each generation, and hopefully along the way somebody would take it upon themselves to rekindle that flame and to delve into the importance of giving back to the world and not being a consumer or a taker, you know, and really finding your peace in giving in some form or fashion. You know, everybody needs help, in some way, and if you can help in your own way, whether you interact with the community or not, your bees will definitely help.
Yeah, well, for now, we only have one world. And we
Yeah,
gotta we
yeah. Well, yeah, we're
gotta
still
take
learning. We're still learning. Yeah.
yeah, we gotta take care of it however we can, so no, your story, it's beautiful because it just shows you, like, yeah, like, you're a veteran, you could have said, "Oh, I deserve this, I deserve that, but I'm gonna give back to the world," and it's giving you back, uh, pretty much what you give it, if not, more or if not equal, and, like I said, you could stop at any time, but you just continue to do it, and it's a beautiful thing, you know? Very, very beautiful.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I work very hard here, and from my labor, I can share something sweet with the world.
And just the last question I wanted to go, it's called Noah's Apiary.
Very good. Yeah, Noah's Apiary at
Is there a
Instagram.
is there a reason you went with the name Noah? Is because I know your name. I thought your name might be Noah, but it's Gavriel.
Oh no, yeah, my name is Gavriel. Yeah, please forgive the misunderstanding. I went with Noah for 2 reasons. One is I have a very close friend of mine, and his father had passed away when he was young.
Hmm.
And his father and him were very close with the property I'm on now. And, it's in a way of rekindling his father's name and keeping it alive because he was a very, very, very hardworking man.
Hmm.
And stout gentlemen like him don't come around too often in our generations,
Oh yeah.
for one. And two is that Noah as well in the Bible.
Hmm.
When Noah came out of the ark, it was just him and he was doing it by himself. So here on the farm, I live by myself, and nobody comes to help. Nobody's here building. Nobody's nothing, and that's okay. That's okay. You find your own peace, and you make your own time, and you understand how others did it, like Noah.
No, yeah, that's and I'm somewhat religious. There's some stuff that I could believe in, some I can't. You got to stretch it every now and then, but if it betters a person like you are right here, then that's what religion is all about,
Oh
making
yeah,
someone want
yeah.
to do
Everybody to their
better.
own path. Yeah, the best
Yeah.
thing you can do is let a plant grow in its environment to its own path, whatever that path is.
No, and just like a person too, let them grow, whether
one
they
Hundred
make their
percent.
mistakes or not. Hopefully, they learn from them. But yeah, I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's already pouring a little bit there. So it's Noah's Apiary on Instagram. They can just
Yes,
hit
sir.
you up on there
Yes,
to
sir.
order
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, you
And
can you can hit me up on there. I respond pretty quickly, being that I farm and I do everything myself, so I know I got to stay on top of things. But yeah, Noah's underscore apiary, no commas, no dashes, none of that, and you can see a plethora of what I do here. I try and keep it updated so that people can, have some good eye candy to look at.
Yeah, no, it does look very beautiful and sweet, the honey, like, so yeah, I have all your descriptions there. Uh Hopefully, we can talk again later on. This is real interesting, and I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time as well. Thank you very much. I also want to say I was also very impressed with your T-shirts. I think the retro Nintendo T-shirt fashion is awesome. So, like, kudos to you on your style and how you do things. I was really impressed with that.
Oh, it's all, well, it's we have our ideas, but it's my buddy at Retro Horror Inc. You can follow him on Instagram.
Okay.
If you ever need any logos done, he's done all my logos. He draws them up like great. So if you ever need anything done, he's amazing. But I'll send you his info, and
Please, please, yeah, yeah, please. I'd love to. With the different projects I have here, I'm always looking to build a new sticker.
yeah, definitely I'll send you his info, and yeah, I'll see if I have like freaking shirts here I could send you or something. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna send you the hookup on honey.
Oh
I got
no,
you covered. I appreciate your time and reaching out and making this happen. And like I said earlier, I'd like to send you some sweet stuff from my labors here, and you can see what like real raw honey tastes like. That's not pasteurized, no corn syrup. Not from some foreign country that like you need the allergies are from here. You need the pollen from here. It's cool to support from America, in America,
yeah,
from America.
no, of course it's a great thing. It's what the country's built on, or at least what it used to be built on. But yeah, man, thank you so much for your time. I hope nothing but more success your way,
Amen.
and
Amen.
yeah,
Thank you so much. You as well.
Eh,
You as
and
well.
we'll definitely talk some more again later on. But yeah, that's it for today, everyone. Just check out Noah's underscore apiary. I have the links there. Put them in the description on Instagram, and support small businesses. I mean, it's beautiful, veterans and all that. Thank you again for your service and for doing
Yes,
what
sir.
you do.
Yes, sir.
I'll see you all later. Bye.